slightly tight on time, but of course we can take a couple of questions. Is there any question from the audience?
Hi. Yeah, I have a question. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So slide 14, the queuing network representation. It looks like there have exogenous arrivals, but I'm not clear about the departure for that. Or it's the closed queuing network?
Oh, no, so it's not. So this is kind of like a very high level representation. It's definitely not closed. So yes, it's true that the arrivals are exogenous. So there's entanglement computation requests that arrive here. But then this loop back to the entanglement generation will sort of only happen if there's still like more outstanding entanglement requests that arrive from outside that are requested by the application. So essentially, once the state of the entangled qubit is moved from one component to the other, that will free up the communication qubit. And then we can go back to the state where we can generate entanglement for a new entanglement request if there is one. Sorry, I didn't mean to show it like as a closed queuing network.
Okay.
Yeah, it's more of a QBD, but I thought that's too complicated to show here.
So can you go to slide 16, please?
Yes.
So if we look at the plots, for example, then all the curves seem to get stabilized after a certain threshold of mu m2, which is same for all computation rate. So any reason for that?
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. I haven't really thought about it. I think I'll have to go back and look at each curve separately because this is kind of the difference between the average fidelities. But in the paper, I also have them like separately. Yeah, but that's a good question. I'm not really sure why that is.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other question from the audience? The chat, no, that was answered. Okay.
I have a question too.
Sure. Please.
First of all, thanks for the great talk and congrats on your award.
Thank you.
So, if I understood correctly, and this comes from a bit of an ignorance in the area, your results rely a lot on your fidelity formula. So, have you studied any type of sensitivity? What happens if you use a different fidelity formula? Do your results still hold, or have you evaluated if this fidelity formula is the best, and how?
So the fidelity formulas just basically depend on the specific noise that's happening in the system. And that just depends on basically how the architecture works. So at the physical level, what's happening. And that noise, for example, could be, so for this particular one, so this formula is for the single device architecture with a composite noise of amplitude damping and dephasing, which describes how storage is customarily modeled in the NV center in Diamond. And we also have similar formulas for depolarization noise or depolarization map, and also yeah, you can do separately kind of like amplitude damping by itself and dephasing by itself. So these are the three most common ones. So yeah, in short, the fidelity formulas themselves depend on how noise happens in the architecture for a specific architecture and physical platform. Yeah, and for the yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Gan. I think in view of time, we should go to the next talk. I mean, if there are further questions.